for particular duties of state parents? Have you failed to always take proper care of the life and health of your children? Have you exposed them to great danger before their birth? Have you failed to provide for their wants? Have you given them proper food, clothing, etc.? Have you ever deserted them? Have you failed to teach them a trade or profession so that they could gain an honest livelihood? Have you manifested an unjust preference for one to the prejudice of the others? Have you been neglectful, unkind, and even cruel to your children, stepchildren, or wards? Have you forced your children into a state of life for which they had no vocation? Have you hindered them from following their vocation to the religious or ecclesiastical state? Have you, without reasonable cause, opposed their inclination with regard to marriage? Have you failed to procure for them a good and Catholic education according to your means? Have you neglected to teach them their prayers? Have you neglected to inspire them in their tender years with the love of God and the horror of sin? Have you delayed their baptism too long? Have you neglected to have them prepared and brought at the proper age to confession, Holy Communion, and confirmation? Have you neglected their religious instruction or sent them to heretical or godless schools? Have you failed to take them to Mass on Sundays and holy days? Have you caused them not to observe abstinence on the days prescribed? Have you placed them in a situation where they could not practice their religion or where their faith or their virtue was in danger? Have you exposed their innocence to danger by letting the different sexes sleep together or by keeping them at night in your own bedroom? Have you kept watch on their conduct carefully? Have you seen where they spend their time, with what companions they associate, and if they are addicted to any secret vice? Have you left them unsupervised or poorly so? Have you entrusted them to the care of others that were irreligious or of loose morals? Have you allowed them to read love stories, trashy novels, and other dangerous books? Have you allowed them to take part in sinful or dangerous amusements, listen to bad music, surf the internet unsupervised, or to watch bad television? Have you failed to destroy bad books and media in their possession? Have you let them date when they were not mature enough to do so, or when they were not old enough to get married? Have you allowed them freedom with persons of the other sex, visits alone or unsupervised online, or at improper hours, or to stay out late at night? Have you allowed dances in your house? Have you allowed them to dance? Have you failed to correct and punish them when they deserved it? Have you allowed them to curse or use improper language without chastising them? Have you, through indifference or misguided affection, left them without restraint? Have you, on the contrary, cursed them in anger, treated them brutally, or exasperated or scandalized them by violent language, abusive names, etc.? Have you scandalized them by bad example, by neglecting your religion? The married. Did you enter into the state of matrimony for bad and non Catholic motives? Have you, by your conduct, been the cause of jealousy and grief to your spouse? Have you profaned the sanctity of matrimony by misuse or by trying to hinder its lawful end? Have you sinned against each other by angry words, opprobrious names, or even by quarrels and blows? How often have you been guilty of these sins? Have you, without just cause and lawful permission, abandoned your spouse in life, lived separately, or remained long absent? Husband, have you been faithless to your marriage vows? Have you treated your wife in a gross, cruel, or tyrannical manner, beaten her or abused her in your anger? Have you made her unhappy by your coldness, stinginess, neglect, and unfeeling conduct, or by spending your leisure time too often away from home? Have you failed to treat her with affection and forbearance when she was in a delicate condition? Have you compelled her to act against a conscience, to sin against the laws of nature? Have you neglected to support your wife and children? Have you squandered your earnings or the property of your wife? Have you, unknown to your husband, made useless and extravagant expenses for yourself or relatives? How much have you caused discord by your selfishness and jealousy and by your unfriendly conduct towards his relatives? Have you broken your marriage vows? Have you given rise to jealousy by your levity, by trying to win the admiration and affection of others? Have you been respectful and obedient to him in all things reasonable and lawful? Have you made your home disagreeable by your ill temper, scolding, and fault finding, or by overstressed ailments? Have you, without just cause, refused him his marriage rights? Have you induced him to offend God and act contrary to the laws of nature? How often have you been guilty of these sins? Have you done your part towards the support of the family, or have you, on the contrary, been idle and neglectful of your household duties? Students, have you failed to study seriously and with diligence? Have you failed to spend enough time on your studies? Have you missed an exam because of laziness? Have you thus defrauded a benefactor who paid for your studies? Have you abused the liberty you had at college because you were far away from your family? Have you spent too much money on useless things and entertainment? Or have you spent too much time on your intellectual training, forgetting about your spiritual life? Have you failed to avoid the evil influences of your teachers, books, or companions? Have you been ashamed of your faith? Young ladies, young men, have you been helpful, assisting in your home, or on the contrary, hindrance? Have you been too concerned with the way you look, and do you spend too much time with these frivolities? Have you dressed decently with dignity, simplicity, and modesty? Are you superficial and worldly? Have you kept any occasions of sin in your life, or are you an occasion of sin for someone else? Have you cultivated your intelligence with good reading, or have you wasted your time with novels? Have you mastered your will with the spirit of sacrifice, self denial, and charity? Have you been the master of your heart, your feelings, and your thoughts? Employers, have you treated your employees and servants in a harsh or tyrannical manner? Have you overburdened them with work or obliged them to do unnecessary work on Sundays or holy days of obligation? Have you kept them from Mass on those days? How often? Have you always given them proper and sufficient food and treated them kindly in sickness? Have you dismissed them unjustly before the time agreed on? Have you refused them their just dues, neglected to pay them, or taken advantage of their poverty or simplicity to engage them on hard or unjust terms? How much have you wronged them, and how often? Have you failed to encourage and exhort them to keep out of sin and dangerous occasions, to go regularly to Mass, to frequent the sacraments? Have you been in any way an occasion of sin to them? Have you failed to watch over their morals? Have you suffered them to keep improper company, late hours? Employees and servants, have you failed to serve your employers diligently and faithfully? Have they suffered any harm or loss through your fault, neglect, or wastefulness? Have you retained part of what they gave you to make purchases, or taken anything under pretense that your wages were too low? How much, how often? Have you revealed unnecessarily the faults of your employers, sowed discord in their families, or been the cause by false or malicious complaints of other employees being discharged? Are you in a situation where your faith and morals are endangered, or where you have not the opportunity of fulfilling your religious duties? Have you connived or aided your employers in their crimes? Have you printed, bound, or sold books or papers against faith or morals? Magistrates and public officers, have you failed to faithfully discharge the duties of your office? Have you, through weakness, human respect, desire of popularity, or eagerness for office and gain, betrayed the public interest, or sacrificed the rights of any individual, or suffered crime to go unchecked and unpunished? In what way and how often? Have you directly or indirectly received bribes, or allowed yourself to be influenced by promises or presents in the administration of justice or in your official conduct? Have you embezzled public funds or used them to your own advantage? Have you enriched yourself or your friends at the expense of the public by means of unjust contracts? In what way and how much? Have you abused your official power to gratify revenge, to favor your friends, or to shield or aid the wicked? Have you neglected the cause of the poor, the innocent, the helpless, and the oppressed? Have you given scandal by open neglect and disregard of your holy religion and your Catholic duties. Lawyers, notaries, and clerks of court, have you advocated unjust claims or sustained an unjust cause? Did you obtain an unjust decision? Have you knowingly prosecuted an innocent person? Have you injured the cause of your client by treachery, gross ignorance, or neglect? Have you given treacherous, doubtful, or dishonest advice? Have you unjustly flattered the hopes of your client or otherwise encouraged useless litigation? Have you been guilty of fraud, bribery, or other injustices? Have you procured false testimony or encouraged others to commit perjury? Have you been guilty of fraud in drawing up legal documents or made them ambiguous or contrary to the intentions of the persons concerned? Have you falsified, destroyed, or substituted documents? Have you made out false bills of cost, demanded unlawful or exorbitant fees, or charged anyone for services not rendered? How often and how much have you cheated in this manner? Physicians and surgeons, have you undertaken the care of the sick without sufficient science or experience? Have you been negligent in the treatment of serious or extraordinary cases? Have you hazarded dangerous remedies or made merciless experiments on patients in hospitals or on the poor? How often have you been guilty of these sins, and what were the results? Have you failed to consult other physicians when necessary, or have you made choice of such as would connive at your mistakes? Have you caused needless expenses by unnecessary consultations, useless visits, or costly and useless remedies, etc.? Have you followed the opinions of others contrary to the clear laws of God, or sanctioned an improper course of treatment? What injury and injustice have you caused thereby? Have you undertaken surgical operations beyond your science or skill, or conducted them recklessly? Have you willfully taken the life of a child? Have you directly or indirectly procured, permitted, or encouraged abortion or sinful birth control? Have you taught or encouraged others to hinder conception or to practice onanism? Have you taught or encouraged the use or abuse of opiates, liquors, etc.? Have you hastened anyone's death at his own request or the request of his relatives? Have you failed to warn those in danger of death so that they could receive the sacraments in time? Have you suffered a child to die without baptism? How many times have you been guilty of these sins? Druggist, have you sold medicine or any other object to destroy life, to hinder conception, or to excite the passions? Have you sold liquor to drunkards? Have you sold morphine or other opiates to those who abuse these drugs? Those having a hotel, bar, or public house or office, have you overcharged your guest or adulterated your liquors? To what amounts and how often? Have you given liquors to drunkards or to those partially drunk, or allowed anyone to drink to excess in your house or place? How often? Have you taken money from those whom you knew to be ruining their family by dissipation? Have you made your house a place of dissipation on Sundays and even during Mass? Have you allowed gambling in your establishment or tolerated blasphemy, obscenity, or quarrels? Have you allowed improper persons to visit or lodge there? Have you made it a resort of scandalous interviews, sinful amusements, immodest dances, or other shameful abuses? Have you kept immodest pictures and papers in your house? Is your business an occasion of sin to your neighbor or injury to your family and a hindrance to your own salvation?